Yes, lads, what is going on? And welcome back to the TRISPORTS podcast. In this episode, we are joined by Harry Colbert. Harry Colbert is a Waterford AC athlete, DCU athlete, and now an M11 track athlete officially team based over in Manchester with the likes of Keely Hodginson and Georgia Bell, along with another couple of athletes who recently joined along with Harry, who are very, very, very talented. So myself and Harry get into that. But before we do, we also get into Harry's early life in terms of his athletics and how he joined and how he's seen his improvement. He mentions he's ran sub 17 5k at only the age of 15, and how his dad has been there for a lot of it, coaching him along the way. And of course, we cannot forget Harry's outstanding cross country season last year. I won't give too much away, but if you've been following athletics in Ireland over the past while, you know what Harry got up to last year, racing at European Cross Country Championships, the Celtic Cross Championships, and of course the inaugural World Cross Country Championships. So it was a bit of a season for Harry, alright. He was quite busy, to say the very least, and I do really, really appreciate him taking the time to come onto the show. It's, we mentioned in the podcast, it's been in the works for a while, but if you're watching this on YouTube, you can kind of see a slightly different background here. I had been getting the setup in the room all completely changed, so things were kind of scattered all around the house and put away in boxes, and rooms were like a building site for a while, so I wasn't able to really, myself and Harry weren't able to jump on and get the podcast done, but we finally did, and it was worth the wait, to say the very least. And of course, I do really appreciate Harry coming on and taking the time out of his day to come on and have a chat with me. I myself was really looking forward to chat with Harry again off the back of the amazing season he had last cross country season, and we also chat about his goals for this coming cross country season. He's in his last year of under 20s at a cross country level, so he has big goals ahead on both a national and European level. So really looking forward for all of you to hear what Harry's goals are for the coming season. And balancing all of that, he's also a law student in DCU, third year, final year in law. So he's a busy man, to say the least. But I won't give too much more away. I'll let Harry take it away and break down his season and what we should maybe expect to come from him over the next season this year. So really looking forward to watching Harry out on the cross country course again for the coming season. And I just do want to mention apologies for how long the podcast has been away. Obviously you have seen over the past summer we've been quite busy. We got content from nationals, from Europeans in Rome, and doing a lot of work, journalistic work elsewhere. So it's been busy, all right. So the podcast was put on the back foot a little bit, but the content was still coming. It was a very busy summer, so I do just want to say a big thank you for all the support over the summer, and both on the Instagram and YouTube side of things. Obviously the Europeans was a massive opportunity for myself and for the podcast and for the channel and for TriSports as a whole. So I do appreciate everyone that's engaged and sent on their support. It really means a lot. So I'm really looking forward for the podcast to be back in action now, looking to roll out a couple episodes as much as we can, and what a better one to start things off with than with the one, the only Harry Colbert. So I'm going to let Harry take it away, talk us through his season last year, and like I said, what we expect to come from him over the upcoming cross country seasons. As always, appreciate Harry coming on, and for everyone watching and listening at home, for watching and listening along at home, it is always very much appreciated. But without further ado, hope you all enjoy this episode of the podcast with Harry Colbert. Okay, so we are joined with Harry Colbert on the podcast. Harry, thanks so much for taking the time to come on. I know this has been slightly in the works for a while now,
Yes.
definitely over the summer, and especially last winter. You've been a very busy man, so it's
Yeah.
taken a while, but I'm delighted to have you on. There's a lot going on in your athletics at the moment. For maybe anyone listening who's not too sure who you are and what you're all about, do you want to give a slight brief introduction?
Yeah, so my name's Harry Colbert, runner from Waterford, currently studying in DCU. I'm on my third year, final year studying law here. And I'm kind of 15 5K cross country runner. So that's kind of about it for me.
Yeah. No, we see a team in these episodes. You have quite high caliber athletes on. They're always so modest in their introduction. So I'll do my best to I suppose display, especially how well you got on last season. But just for a quick moment, Harry, give us a bit of background about kind of your run and how you got into it, and as well if there was ever a time where you seen how good you were and kind of where your potential could take you in the sport.
Mhm. Uh, well, like getting into running was all just from my dad, I'd say. My dad ran marathons. I think he did 9 in total. So he did Dublin a few times in London and all that kind of stuff. So he was always running when I was younger, and then he just kind of took me to like, like little athletics training and stuff like that. And I kind of just worked my way up from little athletics, went to cross country training when I was I probably started like properly, not properly racing, but I did a few Munsters under 12s and 13s, 14s, that kind of thing, just because in Waterford AC we always had a team and there was always a couple of lads who were training and racing. So like we weren't taking it very seriously at all, but we'd somehow still always end up getting kind of sometimes out of Munster, get to an All Ireland, just go for the bus ride, go for the crack. And yeah, that's kind of where it started. But then lockdown then came in when I was, I think, under 15. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure under 15, 2020 when I was when lockdown first came in. And then I just kind of just like kept training a bit. Like I was actually doing sessions with my dad and stuff when he was still like kind of marathon training a bit. And like I hadn't a clue like what I was doing. Like I was literally just jumping in with him. He was just like, right, I'm going out and doing 4 miles. Like, are you coming with me? And I just go, yeah, right, go on. And like before this, it was literally just go to the club train on a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and there was no other running outside that. And it was literally just like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you just do something like a fartlek, like a 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then back down or something like that. No other running outside of that. But then in lockdown, then I actually started kind of doing a bit outside of the sessions and like actually jumping in with my dad in a few. Like I remember we went and like did 800-meter reps in a car park because you couldn't train anywhere else. We were running like 2:30s or something like that, and I hadn't a clue how fast that was. But he was kind of going, geez, that's like
that's pretty quick.
Decent. Like. Yeah, it's pretty quick going. Like, but I hadn't a clue. I was just hanging on to him. Like that's all I was doing. But yeah, and then I kind of just kept training, and there wasn't really even any races, like because under 16, the cross country was called off, I think, because of COVID that year. So I didn't end up like really racing. There was a few kind of small stuff, like my dad put on like a time trial kind of thing or whatever, or like just random bits and pieces, road races, stuff like that. And I kind of just be doing them, but still I didn't really have any reference to like what I was doing compared to like what everyone else was doing, because I didn't even know that many people in the sport at that stage other than people in my club. And it wasn't really until under 17 that I really kind of like that was like the first year that I ever really ran on the track properly. So like I went to Munsters and I won the 15 and 3K there, and then All Ireland's I won 3K and I was second in the 15, and went to SIABs for the 1500 as well, and I was third there. And like that was kind of the year where I was like, geez, okay, I'm actually like not too bad, I'm actually decent. And then I went on, I won the cross under 17 that year in Goran and was second under 18 in Santry and up in age. And then yeah, that's kind of where it started out. And then from there the expectations were kind of like, right, I've won a medal or two now, so now I actually have to kind of focus a bit more on it and keep going. So that's when the realization that like, right, it's not just going out for a run with my dad now. Now my dad's like coaching me, and now I'm like, actually hitting sessions and, trying to get better and trying to get quicker times, as opposed to just beforehand when it was just hop into a race, go flat out from the gun from the lead and just see what to do. So
Well,
yeah,
that
that was
that must
the
have been
start.
pretty exciting though. Like within the first year of you just stepping onto the track, you're already winning medals. You're already at national races and winning national medals as well. So with it being the first year of you properly training and taking it seriously and kind of having the facilities there to make improvements, that must have been pretty exciting. Not only for you, but it's clear to see that your dad had a clear influence, a positive influence,
Mhm.
and I suppose the knowledge there as well for you and your dad. That must have been a pretty, I suppose, exciting, I suppose, revealed to both of you that you have serious talent, especially within your first year of only properly training.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like when I was like under like way back under 12 or 13 or whatever, I think there was a Munsters before where I think under 12 I was like I think I might have been like 111th or something like that
Yeah,
or 105th. So like back then it was like, oh Jesus, he's only just about getting around. But like,
maybe
the
look into
difference of
another
like a couple of
sport.
years. Yeah, yeah, maybe stick with hurling or soccer or
Yeah,
something like that instead. But then like you just kind of stuck at it, and then like the difference in a few years then is like once you actually start growing a bit and running a bit and taking it even just a little bit seriously, you kind of realize that like right, you can actually get pretty decent if you put in a bit of effort. Um, and yeah, and then obviously that was like uh, big for my dad as well. I think I remember one time like in lockdown, I think it was only like during the summer. Um, we went out into the Greenway in Waterford, which is just like a flat, kind of like a canal type thing. Um, and he was like, right, just go out and just do like 5K time trial, whatever. And he had like kind of markers set out like here to there, that's 5K grand. Just go out and just run as hard as you can to see what you can do. And I think I came back and I ran like, so I think I was 15 at the time. I think I ran 16:40 or something like that, or
it's mental.
17 minutes, somewhere like that. And I said it to him, and he was just like, "No, you didn't hardly." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I did." And like at the notion, I literally just went out and just ran as quick as I could for 3 miles, basically, like just from the gun. Hadn't a notion what I was doing, but um, from then we kind of realized that like, right, I could actually be like all right with a bit of training and a bit of consistency and stuff. So yeah.
For I know many people listen to the podcast are already big athletics fans, whether they watch it or they run themselves,
Mhm.
and they'd have a decent concept of the numbers. But for maybe anyone that doesn't, they need to realize that being 15, really you shouldn't be running sub 17 in the 5K. It kind of within the 16-minute range. That is like so unbelievably quick. For you, did you kind of have any concept at all after that point to how fast that really was for your age?
Not at all. I had like the only people I really knew in athletics were the people in my club. Like I literally at this point I didn't know anyone. I might have known like maybe one or two lads in Munster, not even to speak to, but just knew of them, and that was kind of it. So like I had a notion. I literally was just going out running hard. I'd run whatever time, and I go, oh yeah, grand, whatever, and then that was about it. I had no notion what I was doing.
That is no, that is
Yeah.
really really quick. And then I suppose then as you started to become more familiar with the numbers a little bit, and as well for your dad, for him to see the kind of talent that you had, you must have seen that translate into your races then as you started picking off places in races and actually start to bring home a couple of medals.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and like, it was kind of just even for me and him, just like we were both kind of learning because like my dad had been coaching a bit, all right, but not really like anything too high level or anything like that. Just kind of club coaching or whatever. But then like when I started getting decent and stuff, and even like coming up towards, I qualified for the Jerusalem under 18 on the track
Mm.
in 2022. Like I think that was it wasn't the first time he'd ever had someone make an international cap, but like it was still just like learning for both of us. Like right, okay, now I'm actually going to like a championship, and now there's like you have to get a qualifying time, and then after that you have to start prepping and all this kind of stuff. So, and it was actually the same year I was doing my leaving cert as well, so that was a tough one. But yeah, like it was kind of good learning for both of us, like just that we were kind of going along. Like I was learning as an athlete the same way that he was learning as a coach, and obviously it helps that he was my dad, that I was able to kind of tell him, like, everything, what I was feeling in sessions, and like, stuff like even outside of running, like, if there was a really, like, say during mocks or something like that, if I had a load of exams, that you might dial the workload in training back just because of stress and stuff like that. So it was like good for him to learn about that stuff as well as myself. So
Yeah, talking about Jerusalem there, like in 2022, especially within Ireland, you would have been quite a prominent name and a prominent figure that many people in races would have known. But you mentioned there kind of the learnings for your dad and for yourself in those championships, with it being your first proper championship, especially abroad. What were some of the learnings you got from that? Because, like I said, back in Ireland, you were, fairly prominent at that time, kind of within athletics, especially on everyone else's radar, if you know what I mean. But for yourself and your dad coming away from that, what were some of the, I suppose, learnings that you were able to implement then in both training and racing, confidence-wise as well, when you came back to Ireland?
well, Jerusalem was definitely a learning experience for me, because I dropped out of the race over there. I had an absolute disaster, like complete disaster. I was doing my leaving cert leading up to it. I like only just finished, so I was trying to balance like getting in good solid workouts like in between, and then also study and try and do as best I could in my exams. So that was one thing that we were kind of like learning about, is like, right, like, stuff outside of the running itself do like definitely take a toll on your body. And like, even though I was training all right and like, going to the track and like hitting some decent enough sessions, I definitely was tired and not sleeping great, and just had a lot of stuff coming up to the champs that was probably not ideal. But then even over there, like, you learn heaps. Like, I mean, when we went over, our bags got lost on the way over. We missed a flight on the way over. Like, the whole thing was just, I was living out of like just a backpack for the entire, what was it, 5 days that we were there, I think. Like washing clothes in the sink and sharing a singular pair of shoes between four lads because none of us had any shoes. Like all that stuff was kind of just learning that, like, look, you can go to a champs and things can just go completely wrong, and you just have to try adapt as best as you can and still get your foot on the line at least. So yeah, that was definitely one thing that we learned.
No, but like, look, being amongst that environment alone can do so much for an athlete, yourself, especially when you come back to a national level. But I suppose jumping ahead a bit to, I suppose, literally the current day, you there was a big announcement for yourself, not literally just yesterday, and
Yeah.
also if we're looking a little bit further back, you're to your cross country season last season. Obviously, we're coming into the cross country now, so kind of looking at where you started to where you are now, it's evident to see, especially for people that know you or people that have seen how you got on over the past couple of years in terms of your athletics. But kind of focusing in on your most recent announcement, joining a new team, I'll literally
Yeah.
let you take that away, Harry, about kind of tell us about the team, tell us how it came about, and what we're expecting to see for yourself from this I suppose announcement just yesterday.
Yeah, so I've joined a new team over in Manchester, M11 Track Club, coached by Trevor Painter and Jenny Meadows over there. So, I mean, really how it came about was just from my dad. He, like, literally, he just got in touch. He'd actually met Jenny at the under-18 champs that we were at in Jerusalem beforehand, so he actually kind of knew her from there.
Yep.
But yeah, we just got in touch just because it was always my dad's plan to coach me up until an under-20 level and then try and find somewhere else. Just for like a load of different reasons. Like, just he really wanted to have me go somewhere, and I really wanted as well, where you have full-time coaches who are, you know, all in on your training. Like, that's what their work is about. Because, you know, my dad has, you know, I've a brother and sister, I'm a mom, and he has a company at home and stuff. So, you know, he has other stuff outside of just thinking about whether or not to do hills or a tempo on Saturday, you know. So, you know, he was always thinking about that and where to go. And this group, obviously, like when we were kind of talking to him initially, was just before Paris. But, you know, obviously we knew that the group had, you know, Keely and Georgia and all this, who were superstars at the time. But then, like, it was unbelievable then to see, like, just after kind of talking and unofficially joining stuff during the summer, like the Olympics were only like a week later, to see them come out with like 3 medals from Paris, with Keely and Georgia. Like, it was just insane. And then, yeah, the group setup is like, obviously the girls obviously have a lot of superstars, you know, with Sarah and stuff there already as well. Like, she's a 2-time Olympian, and, you know, heaps of others. I think the men's side, they were really looking to kind of develop it a bit more. So, you know, just in the announcement yesterday, like, they had Benjamin Robert and Ethan Hussey there as well. So like the men's side is really, really improving. So I think it's actually like a perfect time to be joining now, just as the, you know, team is expanding more and more. So
You mentioned there that your dad made contact with the coaches kind of
mhm.
naturally while over in Jerusalem. That in itself, like, you look at Jerusalem in terms of your maybe performance in the race and how you felt over there, and both, I suppose, physically and mentally heading into that race. But like,
Mhm.
it shows, I suppose, the silver lining in the sense that what it's led
Yeah,
to today. So you can nearly look back on Jerusalem with a more positive outcome with the most recent announcement, I suppose.
yeah, true. Something that I didn't know at the time. Came home from Jerusalem and I was absolutely raging with how it went. But I suppose down the line, then it actually ended up working out for good. So
And
yeah,
they're supported by Nike as well. So will we be seeing Harry Colbert repping a bit more Nike now in races and in training?
yeah, possibly, hopefully. Uh, have to see how it goes. Uh,
Would Nike be
yeah,
your brand of choice for I suppose training and racing shoes and gear? Or would you have another brand you'd lean more towards?
no, I do like all the Nike stuff. I actually only just got a pair of the um, Next Percent threes, the like kind of yellow ones, just recently, and they're really good. So, but to be honest with you, I'm not that fussy with brands. I'm not a huge like what would you say, like, snob when it comes to like running gear.
Yeah,
You know, to be honest, as long as it's comfortable and it's quick, I'm happy
you'll
enough.
wear it.
Like, yeah.
Definitely some old race T-shirts and something. If it does the job,
Oh
then
yeah,
you may as
yeah,
well.
exactly.
But you mentioned there the likes of Keely and Georgia Bell in the group already. Like, how much, I suppose, not to jump the gun too much, but like over in Ireland, obviously, like we mentioned, like, you would be one of the prominent figures in many races, both on the track and on cross country. And you see, even in DCU athletics, you're mingling with a lot of the best athletes in the country, and you're training with them. But then to kind of take it to that next level, for you personally, how do you think that is going to develop you as an athlete? And is that something that you've been thinking about over the past couple of days?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think something that's like really valuable in like a group to train with is that you're training with people who are better than you. Like I feel like it's tough to train by yourself, especially like I know myself from at home. Like I don't mind it. It's fine and all, but I think you can get such benefit out of, going to sessions and there's people there who they're just quicker than you, and they just like you're going to a session and you're just going to be, that you're going to be hanging on to them. But it's really good because it just helps you improve. For some reason, I feel just better. Like you get to really push yourself a bit harder, I think, than what you would be able to do by yourself. And even stuff as well, like just the professional environment as well, like all the stuff outside of running, like the recovery aspect and everything, I think will be really valuable too.
Did you kind of feel the same coming from Waterford and doing a lot of your training at home? Even then, that step into the group in DCU now that's there. Obviously, there's such talent, like literally some of the best in the country that you're training along with. Did you find even that step? I know this now is the next step for you, but coming from Waterford, coming from home, doing a lot of your training at home on your own, do you find now, even looking back, that step to DCU was one of those steps that helped develop you as an athlete?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I mean, when I came up in first year, like, I was it's nearly like you're small fish again. Like, you think that you're quite good, and especially on a national level and stuff. Like, I came up when I was 17, so then like it was just straight jumping into sessions with lads who are, like 19, 20 or even older, and like just hanging on again. So yeah, no, it definitely was really good for me to like come from Waterford up to DCU and just get in with like a high level group. And especially now, like, I mean, you have like sub 4 milers and stuff like that in DCU at the moment. Like the team is really, really strong.
And then logistically, you mentioned there, we were chatting as well before we started recording, so you're heading over to Manchester this weekend for a session to meet the team and whatnot. Logistically, once you leave college, is it a case of you're going to be heading over to Manchester full time to be with the group, or is it a lot of it going to be done from, over in Manchester while you're here in Ireland? How is that kind of going to work for you?
God, I don't know. Talking about future plans is something that I'm kind of nearly avoiding at this stage because final year now, so I actually do have to start thinking about like what I'm going to do once I graduate now. But I mean, I definitely plan on sticking with the group anyway. And, whether or not I move over to Manchester, I have no clue yet. I have to see how, racing goes this summer. And I'm, looking at stuff like doing an internship for law over summer and stuff like that. And obviously, yeah, racing, camps, all this kind of stuff. So it's a lot to be figured out. And yeah, look, for a short answer, I haven't got a clue. I really haven't got a clue what I'm doing. I'm just going to make it to Christmas, I think. And then that's when I'll start properly have a sit down with my parents and stuff like that and go, right, what do I do once I finish college?
just ask them for the answers. It'd be dead handy. But like,
yeah.
You mentioned there as well, like with during Jerusalem, preparing for that, the leaving cert was on the horizon. Now, kind of, you're in your final year of college. You're studying law. Like you're putting work in on both the academic and the athletic side of things. How important is it for you to be developed in both areas of your life, in all areas, I suppose? Like, you see a lot of people even going over to America and it's specifically only running, you know what I mean? They kind of running's first, everything else is second. But for you, it seems like you want everything to be developing at a good and steady and equal rate. So to have not athletics up here and academics down here, how important is it to have both of them at a good and even level?
Yeah, I think it's really important because I mean, like, while I'd love to keep progressing as an athlete and, like hopefully someday get to a place, get to a level where I can sign a contract and run professionally, like you really don't know like what's going to happen down the line.
Yeah.
And it just might not happen. Like you might just get to an older age, not old, but your late 20s where you've been running for years and it hasn't happened yet, and like it's the real world, and you do still have to earn a living and stuff like that. So that's why I think like getting a good degree so that you at least have a foot in the door, and that you're not left stranded then after putting all your eggs in the basket of athletics.
Yeah.
When you're in your kind of late 20s and going, right, well, what now? Like, I haven't made it yet. I don't have a huge amount of time left. Like at that stage, what, like, do you go back to college and get a degree or do a master's or something like this? Like, it'd be nice to, have my degree early. I'll only be 20 when I get it in May. Like I have that then. So then I can kind of have a couple of years, 20, 21, 22, 23, where I can kind of focus on the running and really try and get decent. And then I still have room to play with where I can be like, say 23 and I can go, right, well, do I want to go back and do a master's or keep running, or even just, like it could come to a place where I get to an age where I just decide, right, I just want to start working now and just earn my living. And you don't really know what comes down the line in the future, so you just kind of have to try and stick with the running as long as you can, but still have your law degree to fall back on.
Yeah, not everyone can say they're, I suppose, running at the level you're running at, Harry, and also have a law degree there to fall back on. So
Yeah.
so looking at the moment, things are looking pretty decent. Everything kind of grown fairly steadily to quite a high level, and that's great to hear, because like you said, you do not know what's down the line, whether it's in terms of your career or in terms of athletics, with injuries or things just not clicking or coming together. But I suppose that brings us into the next point of looking at the present things. In terms of athletics, things seem to be moving quite nicely. Looking back at last cross country season, we'll get into the specifics of it now. But for you, Harry, just what comes to mind when you think of last season as a whole, from everything from Europeans to Worlds to how it's helped you as an athlete in terms of your confidence? Just an overview of last cross country season. How much has that meant to you?
Oh yeah, a lot. Because it's mad. Like this time last year, I genuinely think I was struggling to run like sub 6 minute miling. I came off the summer and I was so sick, and I think I had to go to the doctor and get like steroids and an inhaler and like antibiotics and everything. I don't know what it was that I picked up over the end of summer, but probably a bit too much partying, I'd say. But but I was just dying sick, and to be honest, at that point, like I was looking at Eurocross after I called my track season short last year. But in September, it really wasn't looking great. But when I finally got myself sorted out in kind of, or actually around this time, around the start of October, I got myself sorted out. And like from that point on, it was just like, right, hills on a Saturday, do a hard enough session on a Tuesday, work hard, and just do what you can just so that you're fit by, what was it, second week in November. And to be honest, that was like all that mattered to me, was just second weekend November, National Cross. I was like, if you can come top 3 there, you guarantee yourself the spot. Like there's no anything about it. Like, and that was all I was looking at. And then it's pretty much what happened. Like that's what I was kind of hoping for and dreaming for, and it actually did happen. Like I did just get fit really quick, just hitting hills hard, like doing, I think we were doing like 2.5 minute reps up hills by like 10 or something like that.
That's pretty tough.
So like tough going, and just every week just hitting decent mileage and decent sessions. And I was fit enough on the day that I just, managed to crawl through that muck in Gorn and get third and, secure myself that spot. And, that was really big to me because like 2 or 3 months beforehand, I was like in absolutely no shape at all to make it. So, I kind of did realize then, like, right, like I know myself that I can get really, really fit when I put in the work and I really, lock into the training. So, that was big for me, that in such a short amount of time, I was really able to like improve myself and get fit and make the team. And then obviously we went to Eurocross there in Brussels, and in Brussels, now in fairness, I had a decent race, but I definitely blew up. I think I went through, so it was 5k cross, and I think I went through 2.5k, like somewhere in the top 20 or something like that. And then I just like, the last 2k were just a slog, just about getting through.
It was tough conditions out there in Brussels. It seemed like, the conditions, and I know there was people giving out about the course in Kilkenny for nationals, but if you're trying to replicate what was to come maybe in Brussels, it was nearly the best way to do it because the conditions there seemed fairly gruesome.
It was actually perfect. Yeah, they actually were similar enough. But yeah, look, the individual result was fine. I wasn't like particularly disappointed with it, but definitely looking to improve on it hopefully this year. But the team result was massive for me, and that was huge. Like, that was a European medal, like, so that was probably the height of my athletics so far.
Take us back, Harry, I suppose, to the start line at National Cross last season. Like, we've seen the depth in that under-20 team over in Brussels, and we'll definitely be talking about that because it was, for people watching at home, and of course for yourselves and all the lads on that team, it was great to see. But for you personally, on the start line, with the ups and downs you had, mainly I suppose for you downs leading up to that, you got a spell of training in, but kind of everything prior to that, and we've seen the depth on that Eurocross under-20 team. So for you, with such a big goal for yourself of making top 3 on that cross-country start line in Kilkenny, what kind of was going through your head at that point? And talk us through the race a little bit, because it was definitely not a day for the faint-hearted, to say the least.
No, definitely not. Well, it's funny because I feel like leading up to Eurocross every year, like, you know what, no matter what anyone says, even all the, what would you say, like quicker lads on the track and some of the 800 guys and stuff like this, like everyone wants to make Eurocross. Like, it's a great team. Like, it's unbelievable. So like when you get to National Cross, like even at the senior, like you have the likes of like, like kind of 1,500 guys who are stepping up to marathon guys who are stepping down. Like, everyone's looking at that team. But
like
I kind of knew
middle
that
ground nearly, isn't it? For where it literally shows kind of who is the most kind of all-round runners nearly.
Yeah, and it's especially last year anyway. That was just about grit, because it was just such a tough course, and like I'm pretty sure the top 6 at the end were like in a top 6 like league group about 1.5K in, and like that was just it for the whole race. Like, it was really, really tough to move up the field just because of how bogged it was. So like I kind of thought about that going in, and I just thought, like, right, you just have to go with the leaders, and just like, no matter who takes it on, like whether it's Nick, obviously, who could probably just, I know he had a fall there in that race, but my thoughts at the start was, right, if Nick takes this out hard, like, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
So you just have to go with it and suffer. Same with Niall, same with Jonas. Like, whoever takes it out hard, it's going to be hard. Like, so you just have to go with it. And that was kind of just my thought process going in, was just go with it, try and stick to it and just get home and just try be in that top 3 position if you can. And yeah, it actually ended up just working out like that. Like literally just stayed with the group as long as I could. I think I started falling off around 3K in, I'd say. And literally, like, I knew that there was like a line of people behind me, you know, who were in like 4th, 5th, 6th, who were looking to, you know, catch up and try and get into that auto spot. So at that point, it was just completely by myself out there, just thinking in my head, like, you just have to stick it out, like, just get to the line and don't let anyone pass you. And yeah, that's pretty much just how it went. And then crossing the line was unreal. I actually didn't even realize for quite a while that Nick had stopped. So there was a long time where I was like, right, I'm in 4th. Okay, that's not too bad. It's good enough.
Yeah.
And then I think I remember like hearing someone shout at me like you're in 3rd, or something like this. And I was kind of thinking to myself, I was like, geez, that person can't count. Like I'm definitely not. Like there's definitely 3 lads ahead of me. And I didn't realize until nearly the end that I did have that 3rd spot. So yeah, that's kind of how it went. All right.
That must have been some feeling, like when you
Mm.
initially found out that you did have that third spot, all the work you put in kind of to overcome what you had to overcome and get the fitness to where it needs to be. Because
Yeah.
you mentioned there, you realized, you know, if you do lock into the training, you can gain quite good fitness. But you know, there's good
Yeah.
fitness and there's being top 3 in the country in
Mhm.
an under 20 level, which is arguably, you know, especially last year, like the most deep, like, age group, especially in terms of cross country within the whole nation. Do you know what I mean? So that must have been,
Yeah.
as much as you were excited with the result, it must have been relief as well at the same time, because like you said, everyone's looking for those Eurocross spots.
Oh yeah. And like even at that point, like I definitely had a different mindset then. I wasn't even thinking about like Eurocross as much. I was just thinking, as in about the race at Eurocross. At that point, all I was thinking is just try and make that team, like, and then you can worry about, you know, the actual race from then on. But just do whatever you can to just get on the squad. Yeah, that was kind of my whole mentality coming up into it.
And then the preparations leading into Eurocross, especially in comparison to the lead up to nationals, what did that look like for you? Obviously, we've seen the team come away with gold, and everyone put a real shift in on the day. So for you,
Mhm.
did training click a little bit better leading up then to Eurocross?
To be honest, we honestly just kept going as what we were doing, because we were like, look, it's cross country. There's not really any. There's no like specific work you need to do,
Yeah.
or like particular sessions or anything like that. It really is just about getting on the line as fit as you can be and as strong as you can be. So we were just like, look, just keep it going with hills, tempo, that kind of thing. Just hard enough training, that will just get you on. That was about it. There wasn't really any particular, you know, block that we put in those 2 or 3 weeks in between National Cross and Eurocross.
Yeah, especially with the type of course that we've seen in Brussels. It's
Mhm.
like you mentioned, it's great. It's kind of hoping people around you start to crumble a little bit earlier than you do. So kind of
Yeah.
getting that foundation down and the hard work down as well can mean a lot going into a cross country race. But then, you know, we mentioned there the depth we've seen at an under 20 level at Eurocross over the past couple of years. Obviously, you've had Nick there, who now is going up to his first year of under 23. But over the past couple of years, with the
Mhm.
likes of Nick and yourself last year, and the likes of Jonas, we had Abdel, Dean Casey, Scott Fagan. We've seen these names over the past couple of years in that under 20 team that is so deep. And, you know, most of the time we see them coming away with medals. So was that kind of the consensus within the team? Was there maybe a little bit of added pressure, you know, maybe on yourself or within the team as a whole, due to the how well that under 20 team has performed that previous Eurocross, you know, to literally just be there to get a medal for the team. Obviously, we know you came away with gold, but mentally going in that, was there that extra added little bit of pressure knowing how well that under-20 squad has done over the past couple of years?
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, like, I think now it's 3 years in a row that we've medalled at under-20. So Dublin, Italy, and then Belgium last year. So like, definitely, I'd say this year as well, especially coming in as, reigning champions.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely an added pressure on the team this year. But last year, to be honest, there was probably a pressure on, but I feel like I didn't take too much of a notice of it because, like, I knew the team was good enough that even if, like, say myself, I didn't have the best race ever, but the lads all stepped up. I mean, you had Nick third, and then Niall and Jonas ninth and 10th, I believe they were. So like, that was a really, really serious run from the guys at the front. So like, even though I knew that I wanted to be a scorer myself, I didn't have the race that I'd envisioned, but I knew that the team was strong enough that we would medal regardless. I thought, to be honest with you, I thought the team was really, really good and really deep in talent. So, and I think that this year we should be going in with the same mentality again, that like, right, we've medaled the past 3 years. Like, we absolutely should be good enough this year that we can go in and say, like, there's 6 of us here. We can definitely medal. Like, 3 of us can produce the runs to come in those like kind of top 15, top 10 placings that we can get ourselves on a medal table again. And I think that should be the mentality for the Irish under-20s going forward now, because, hopefully we can continue the streak this year, and then hopefully next year I'll be gone, but that others will be stepping up to the plate. So
how important is that, Harry, especially like Nick being such a prominent figure in the Eurocross scene over the past couple of years, and having him there, kind of, no one relying on him, but kind of knowing that if everyone's on their day, including Nick, that something special can happen. So for yourself and like you said, under-20 teams going forward, how important is it for everyone to have that same mentality to produce medals going forward and keeping that streak alive? Because maybe some people may see some lads moving on to under-23 and start having doubts. Obviously, we've seen Callum Morgan had his first under-23 season there last year in Eurocross. So as athletes start to move on into under-23 and then inevitably the senior level, how important is it for everyone as a collective on the under-20 level, especially this year, to share that same mentality?
I think it's really important. And like, even going ahead, like, even though we've lost Nick and Niall and Shane this year, it's a big loss for us. And obviously Nick was third and Niall was ninth. So like, those are big places gone. But I think, like, Ireland should really, like, as a whole, like, we're just good cross country runners. And we've obviously shown that like the past 3 years by medaling. So I honestly think that like we should have the mentality going in that like we're the ones that other nations are looking to beat. So we have to, like, run to that kind of standard. But I think that is really like motivating for teams going forward as well, because pressure is a good thing. I think pressure is always, it's not something to back down to. Pressure means that you're fighting for something because people have an expectation on you. It's not something that you have to deserve pressure. And I think Ireland now at this stage, 3 years in a row of medals, like, we deserve to have the pressure on us. But that's a good thing, and I think that we should use that now this year and going forward, as fuel to like really, really, have a go at it and go out there for medals.
No, it's a great mentality to have, because it's the Eurocross is an event that many people tune into, because many people make their trip out to the national cross country race, and then they see who's qualified, and then they go and then they watch them on the live stream, or they go out to the Eurocross itself. So you know, the expectation on that under 20 team has been there over the past couple of years, and then to see, you know, athletes like yourself who are so, you know, it's so evident that they want to do well, and they're not willing to back down. It's really great and really refreshing to hear. But I suppose to live in the moment of last year for a minute, I'd say everyone has seen the clip of Nick running over to yourself, Harry, and saying that
Yeah.
you won gold, because I know there's a little bit of waiting around for the full team results to come in once you cross the finish line. So for you, how good of a feeling was that? And then, of course, for it to be captured on camera the way that it was, it must just been overall a great experience.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant because I mean I remember coming through the line and uh, first thing I did was I got sick. I was absolutely in bits afterwards, but
Would that be a natural
um,
reaction for you in training and other races, or was it literally just on that day it was a real graft?
no, I'd never ever get sick in training, but I think beforehand I was drinking Lucasade or something like that. I was having something really sugary or like jellies or something to kind of, you know, have a bit of fuel going in, and I just like it was a proper graft, and then yeah, coming through the line, I was felt them coming back up again. But after that, anyway, I was kind of just I nearly didn't really know what was going on. I was just trying to orientate myself, but then I saw all the lads kind of standing in the corner over where the Irish managers were, like Mark Keely and them. And I just saw like Nick coming up to me, and he just said like, "Yeah, we've won the gold," and just it was just insane. I nearly can't even remember it because I'm thinking about like we're going through the media talking to all them, and just all of us are just smiling. We were just so happy, and then even like going up and singing around Naveen was like there was so many different moments within the space of like, you know, like 2 hours or less even, that were just like unbelievable feelings. Like it was just all in one, just like, you know, realizing that we'd won it, speaking to the media, meeting with the managers, seeing my parents, then going up to actually collect the medal, singing the anthem. Like there was so many different moments that were so unbelievable, you know. So
But was looking back now, was there a certain point where once all the kind of mayhem settled and the dust settled, that you got the opportunity to kind of realize what just happened and what you just done? Because you mentioned there, it was literally just 2 hours of you trying to gather yourself from a seriously tough race, chatting to the media, getting changed, getting up on and onto the podium, you know, seeing your family. Was there a point looking back that you were able to sit down and let it sink in to what just happened? Because it's not every day someone wins a gold European medal.
yeah, it was definitely. I remember like it was when we got back to the hotel. I think I like went in, had a very well needed shower because I was absolutely destroyed in mud. And I just came out and I got changed, and I was just like, I was just holding the medal, and I was just like, geez, I actually have like this is going home with me now.
Like when it's
And
just
this is like,
lying there on the bed or whatever, it's just like
yeah,
Jesus.
I think I just had it like in my bag or something, and I just like fished it out with all the dirty clothes that was in there. I was like, geez, I actually have this. Like this is going home with me now. I'll have this in my room forever now. Like that's the big thing with the medal is like you'll have it forever. Like,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
No, that must be so surreal for something that you've worked towards
Mm.
so long, and then kind of those moments afterwards where you're just on your own and reflecting. It must be really surreal. But
Mhm.
obviously it's you mentioned earlier on, it's probably the highest point of your career so far. But that's not to say the rest of your cross country season is something to bat an eye at, I suppose. Moving off that, obviously we'll get into Worlds as well. But the next up in terms of representing Ireland was the Celtic Cross Championships off the back of your training camp at the beginning of the year. Going from a European level, being on top of the podium at a European level amongst the likes of Nick Griggs and being surrounded by the likes of Niels Laros and things for a couple of days, to then going and representing Ireland at Celtic Cross. Of course, you still need to run hard, but how
Mhm.
much did that Eurocross help you for the rest of your season? Like, do you think maybe if you didn't win gold at the Eurocross, you maybe not wouldn't have won gold individually at Celtic Cross? Just that momentum and the confidence that gave you heading into the Celtic Cross Championships. That's nearly where the gold came from for you individually.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like the momentum off Euros was crazy because like I took probably just like 3 days off max, I'd say, afterwards, just to kind of, yeah, as you said, leave the dust settle and just relax a little bit. But like then it was pretty much just back into it again. And at this stage, even though I'd just come off Eurocross, I was still like, right, there's a lot more room to get fitter again. So like over Christmas and then even in Portugal in January, it was still just a thing of just keep working, same as I was before Eurocross. But this time, obviously, I had a bit more of a confidence about it. And I suppose less things were in the air. Like before Eurocross, I only raced national cross and road relays. That was like the only thing I did before Eurocross. So even though I knew I was very fit, it was kind of a thing of, right, well, I still have to go out and race and see. But then coming up towards Celtic Cross, I was definitely more confident that like, right, I'm going over here. I want to win it. Like that was really the mentality I had going over. And then, you know, I actually did, which was brilliant. Like it was just obviously the level is definitely a step down from Euros, but it was still just nice to just wear the Irish vest, go out, run a decent race, and just, you know, sprint home to a win. That was just a really good feeling, especially after Eurocross, where I felt like my performance was not as good as I would have wanted it to be. I was like, right, well, today I actually couldn't have ran any better. You know, I won the race. So that was definitely a big confidence booster. And then especially even like going from that then into the indoor season a little bit, and then going to Worlds was like just this whole kind of like the momentum really, really lasted after Euros, like for a long time up until Worlds, you know?
Yeah. I suppose Celtic Cross is nearly a solidifier for you that like you, especially on an individual level, of course, that, you know, you can run and you can and win races. But, you know, if you're looking back at where you were at, you know, just before cross country season started to then going and actually winning Celtic Cross, not only where your racing has been in terms of how well you done in Eurocross, but also how well your training is working for you individually. It must have just been a real solidifier into, you know, this is going in the right direction for you as an individual. Because I know gold at Eurocross as part of the team is unbelievable, but then you also do reflect on your own performances. So for you as an individual to be able to take the gold at the Celtic Cross, it must have been a real solidifier, like, right, I am really going in the right direction as of right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like, you know, I was delighted with Eurocross and everything afterwards, but I was still kind of a bit like, right, there's more to be done. Like the individual result definitely could do with improving, and that was a good, as you said, solidifier of like, okay, I'm definitely going in the right direction now.
Tell us a little bit about that process then, qualifying for World Cross Country Championships. And, you know, again, looking back to just before cross country season, I'd say Worlds probably nearly never crossed your mind.
No, like I'd known that Worlds were on beforehand, but like it was far from, you know, the goal or anything. Like the goal was 100% just to try get on that Eurocross team. But then after that, you know, and actually another thing about going to Celtics was kind of, right, like this is a good opportunity for me now to, you know, show to like the selectors and everything, like that I am a good cross country runner and like I really can put in a good shift. So like winning over there was big for me, I think, because it kind of showed that, you know, I can go out and I can run hard and I can run well, especially on the cross. So I feel like that was, you know, and good for my confidence as well, that, you know, it kind of made me think after Celtic Cross, like I should be on the team going to Worlds. I think I'm good enough. And, you know, it was obviously brilliant that was recognised by Athletics Ireland and that they did send me over.
we've been talking about levels from, moving from Waterford to then training at DCU, and now M11 Track Club that you signed with. Then the levels from National Cross to Eurocross, Celtics to Eurocross. Tell us about that level between even Eurocross and Worlds, because you have the US in there, the Kenyans, the Ethiopians, Ugandans. Tell us about that level difference that you've seen, whether it's the caliber of athletes that you're surrounding yourself with, and especially then on race day. Tell us about that step up again from Europeans then into World Championships.
Yeah, the step up to Worlds is a big one. All right, I actually wore my watch during the race, and I remember going out, and I'm pretty sure I went through the first mile in about 4:40, 4:43, maybe something like that, and I was in the back 15, like I was like 100 or 100 or more. Like I was nearly last, and I was 4 low. Like so, I was genuinely thinking that like the Kenyans and the Ethiopians up the front must be running like they must be running like sub 4:20 miling right now,
Yeah.
and this is for 8K cross, so for 5 mile. But no, like the level jump was massive, but I was still really happy with my performance there, and it was just like overall just an experience, because like there's not many people who can say, that they've gone to a world cross country. I mean, they only sent 2 for each event, and like even in the past, there's been many times where Ireland haven't sent anyone to world cross, like in Australia. So it was really like a privilege to go and just experience it, and it was just great. Like just I don't know, just the experience of racing against people from like literally the entire world, like New Zealanders and Australians and Americans and Kenyans and everyone, like is just even different again. And the level step up is definitely noticeable, but it's enjoyable as well though, because like I just remember coming down the home straight and I was struggling so much, but I remember seeing a guy from Peru ahead of me, and I was just like, just be cool to just be a fella from Peru. Like
you
I
don't
don't know
always
why.
see the Peru
You
singlet
don't
when you
always
go
get
to
to do
race.
that. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like whatever about beating, a European, I could probably run against them at, an IFAM in Belgium or something like this. But, when am I ever gonna race against this guy again? So I might as well try and kick as hard as I can to beat him.
And did you catch him on the line?
I did, yeah.
Happy
Just
days.
about. Yeah.
Kind of for you then at World Championships, was it a good indicator of where things need to go in both your training and racing to move more up the field as in a world championship race, whether down the line you're in another world cross country championships or a world championships on the track? Was it a good kind of indicator for you? It's like, okay, this is what I need to do and this is where I need to get to be able to be amongst the pack more. And now that you've seen the level difference and the level jump from a European to a world level.
Yeah, definitely. And like I definitely think like my tactic going in was to go out a bit easier. Not easy, because it was still 4:40 whatever, but towards the back of the race anyway, and then try and pick people off, because I knew that there would definitely be some people who went out too hard up the front with the East Africans and stuff. But I definitely think that it kind of did teach me a bit that like, right, you know what, in cross country you have to go out hard. Like you just have to.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be hard from a kilometer in. Like no matter what the distance is, once you've gone through a K, it's like, right, now it's going to start getting tough, and it's just going to be tough until you finish. And it's all just about like just that grit and that strength that you'll just get through it and you'll get to the end. But no, I definitely learned a lot from it. And then it was weird though, because World Cross was on in late March, and then like track was starting, like track in Ireland starts pretty much in April, like end of April. Depending on which race you open with. Some people are opening with varsities, which is really early. Yeah. And then I opened with a 5K over in England, but like it was a weird turnaround to go from like 8K grueling cross. Like they had us jumping over hay bales and going through mud patches and stuff like this, and they had all these like ramps going up and down, to then like, getting into the more specific track work and like, hitting 5K work and stuff like that. So it is very different, but it was good though. Like the strength that you gain from cross country, I think really can show itself then in the track season. And I think it's really important, like this time of year and the whole training schedule, that you get in a good base. Now, saying that, my base probably went on a bit long up until March, so I feel like I probably may have been a bit cooked then by June or July. But no, it was still good though for the start of the season. I felt really strong start of last track season.
And now, Harry, obviously looking ahead, you mentioned there of people opening their cross country seasons. That's not too far around the corner for many people and yourself this time of year now. Obviously, looking ahead to this cross country season, another, it's your final year under 20, so another European squad. And would it be too outlandish to say maybe a national cross country title on the cards for you? Like, not maybe on the cards as jumping too far ahead, but definitely a very realistic goal for yourself.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a goal. I mean, I was third last year, and I know that there'll obviously be, guys coming from the younger ages, like under 18, under 19 and stuff, who'll be improving at, a quick rate, who'll be looking at it as well. But, I think it's a realistic goal to say that like an All-Ireland cross country title could be there. So yeah, and then from that, then the main focus then would be Eurocross, and after that, then just building in for track then in the summer.
Well, we're very much looking forward to it, Harry. And like we mentioned, it is your final year under 20, so fingers crossed, big things to come. Before I let you go, we've a couple of questions that we got over on the post on Instagram, so we'll fly through them really quickly. I know you're a music fan yourself. So is there a pre-race song that you go for, or is maybe even a specific song that you might throw on at the start of a run if you're wearing headphones that you would go for to get you kind of into that zone?
Oh, that's interesting. They're probably, one sec. Actually, we'll have a look on my Spotify now, because I do have a pre-race playlist, but I don't know. It can depend though. Sometimes it just depends on like what I'm listening to, like at that time.
Yeah.
Maybe Sirius, Alan Parsons Project. It's the Bulls, the 1997 Bulls intro theme.
Perfect.
That's pretty good.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that the Spotify image cover and the name up on the screen. So for anyone listening in, they can, and I'll put it down in the show notes as well. So Harry, if people aren't a fan of it, I'm sure they'll let us know. But it's because I know you're a music fan yourself, or you never know, it may now make its way into some people's pre-race, because I know a lot of people do have pre-race playlists, so we could
I think
it.
It's a very well-known song. I think they'll know it when they hear it.
Perfect. No, I'm actually looking forward to hearing it now myself.
Yeah.
I know we've been chatting a lot about your cross-country season last year. Would you say you prefer cross-country over track?
I would say that I probably prefer track. I think track is where it's at,
Yeah.
Like that's where you're making your Olympics and stuff like that, and that's where the real height of it is. But I also love cross country. I hate when people kind of completely sack off the cross. Even though the track is where everything is, I still enjoy seeing, like I love seeing like Jakob, who's, an Olympic champion and all this. He still just goes out and he just wins Eurocross every year. Love that for him,
and against guys that are specifically only 5K or 10K or even the marathon. I definitely respect that. Two more questions, maybe a little bit tricky, or if you've thought about them before, happy days. First one is, if you could do only one session for the rest of your life, what would that session be?
Ooh, one session. It would have to be either something like mile reps or 400s, I'd say. So either like something like 6 or 7 by a mile, or like 20 or 25 by 4, I would say.
Yeah, they're good
Um,
sessions, cover a lot of bases. You can get speed in while
uh, just anything. You can literally just do anything with them.
yeah.
Like mile reps, you can either go, less volume and quicker, or you can go not as quick, but you could do like 7 or 8 of them. And same with the 400s. Like you could do slower 400s and do heaps of them, or you could do quicker ones and do less. So I think you can pretty much cover nearly anything with the two of them sessions.
I like it. No, I like it. That's a good one. Um, final. I promise now you're going to see people doing a lot more mile sessions and 400 sessions now after you said that, Harry. Final question is: if you were to go on a run with both a professional runner and a professional athlete who isn't a runner, which two would you pick?
That's a good one. Um, well, professional runner, I've run with Josh Kerr before, and I met him in St. Moritz like 2 years ago, and he was actually really sound. He was really dead on. So you know what? I actually might go with him again,
Were you
even though
chatting
I've
away and
already
everything
run.
like out on the run?
Yeah,
That's
chatting
how.
away. We did 5 miles, and he's giving me some advice. He was really sound
Oh,
actually.
deadly.
Really nice guy. And then non-athletics. That's a tough one. Um,
There's a lot you could choose.
there's a lot. Yeah.
Well, is there
Jeez.
many that would be able to hang with you, Harry? I suppose we're gonna
Yeah. True.
we're gonna go target this question in the sense that whichever athlete you do choose that isn't the runner is able to hang with you, whether they could or couldn't in real life.
You know what? It might be funny to go with Tyreek Hill,
Okay.
because he's always spouting on about his 40-yard dash
Yeah.
in the NFL and how quick he is. But I'd like to see him do, a quick mile. I think he'd get absolutely gassed out after 100 meters, 200 even.
We might
So
need to. I don't know how we go about it, but if once you get sorted yourself with an agent, Harry, we need to look into getting
yeah,
that
we'll
set
sort
up.
it out. Yeah.
No, that's and so would you be more of a Josh Kerr or Jakob Ingebrigtsen man, or somewhere in the middle you can kind of appreciate and enjoy watching both?
I enjoy watching both, but honestly, I would probably go Jakob. I think Jakob is probably my goat.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
a 15 and 5K Olympic champion. I know he didn't get the double this year, but I mean, it's such a high expectation. He still came away with an Olympic gold. So,
and able to do it on the cross country course, like
and he's
yourself.
able to do it on the cross.
Yeah,
And I've no doubt that if he were to target it a bit more and not have a 1500 in his legs at that half marathon that he did in Copenhagen, I don't think that's a true reflection of him. I think he has a very, very easy sub 60 in him.
that like literally the he must have had to fly from Brussels that night over to Copenhagen for the half marathon. And I'd love to know how much hours of sleep he actually got of proper sleep
Yeah.
before that half marathon.
Plus, at the end of like a very long season,
Yeah,
Dublin at the Olympics, setting he set a world record this year in the
3K.
3K as
Yeah,
well. Like that's like, I mean, yeah, I think a fresh Jakob going into half, I think he'd be unbelievably strong.
definitely, definitely. Well, Harry, look, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it. I know, like we said at the beginning, it's been on the cards for a while. But look, with the most recent announcement with the M11 Track Club, and I suppose what you brought to the episode in terms of especially the amazing cross country season you had last year, it was most certainly worth the wait. So I really do appreciate you taking the time
Yeah,
and coming on.
no worries. Thanks for having me.
No hassle at all. All socials and everything will be down in the description if you want to check Harry out and keep an eye on him, especially with the upcoming cross country season. But for now, that's going to be it. Thank you all so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.